Welcome back to Doug Tanner, the Travel Concierge. I do still love that name, I'm sorry, it's so cool. Episode 4 this time, and obviously we got the main man, Doug Tanner, here with us. Greetings, sir.
Hi, Chris.
And this one, I've been looking forward to this one because I think there's going to be an awful lot of people that are going to relate to this.
Yeah.
Because we want to go into the emotions that we get when we are booking a holiday, go on the holiday, and I'm probably going to end up touching on when you come back from the holiday.
Yeah.
And because I know that you and I have had this conversation many a time, is that the reason why you do what you do is that a holiday shouldn't just be a throwaway, quick, we need to book a holiday this year, for this year, we need to get away at some point. It's like, make it those memories.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what you work hard, everyone works hard. And how much time do you spend going on holiday? Okay. And what is a holiday for? What's the purpose of going on holiday? Yes, it's to shut down and recharge, but actually, as you've touched on, when you come back, it's the memories.
Yes.
It's the memories you make. And that emotion can be really quite profound when you think what you've done in those week or 2 weeks, whereas what you've done for the rest of the year working. How does it compare? That then bonds your family and does so much.
Yeah, very good point. Bonds the family. And that kind of leads on to the point I was going to make, is that those memories are relevant whatever your age. And I've and I'm trying not to give too much away as we go through the booking, the having and the returning, but it is relevant to the kids. I've still got memories and emotions that can come flooding back in an instant. Not always on the surface, but something could trigger them.
Yeah.
As a young adult, normally involves probably Ibiza or something like that. As an adult, and especially as a parent, it's a whole new sequence of memories to come.
Yeah.
And then you've got the different phases of the age of your kids. Then, and I know we've been touching on this, in your latter years, is that the best way of saying it?
Well, absolutely.
Is that it then becomes important. The kids have maybe flown the nest and you're now going off and do things that they wouldn't want to have done.
Yes.
But now we're going to go off and do it. Every stage of your life is a new sequence of memories and experiences.
Yes, that's right. And that's where the emotions come in. I was talking to a lovely lady this morning, in her latter years, shall we say. And she was saying the things she's been and done on holiday. She never mentioned about anything that she did at work.
Yep.
And she now wants to go on another holiday to build more memories for her and to recall to her family. And it was wonderful to hear. I sat with her for 45 minutes and, we talked about so much, but it was all about where she'd been. She'd been up the Irrawaddy and they'd done this and they'd been to Burma and when you could access Burma, that was a while ago. And, they'd spent time in Vietnam and it was fantastic. And it all came back. It all came flooding back and you could see the joy in her face of talking about it. So that to me was a real, there you go. That's what a holiday, a holiday is such a funny term, but actually there's so much to it.
There really is. And, I've got two things that come straight to mind is that, my parents and my wife's parents have both retired. And you don't retire to do nothing. You retire to be able to go and do more. And invariably that is travel.
Yes.
They're going to see different places, experience different places, meet different cultures, eat different cultures, all of those kind of things.
Yeah.
And equally, sadly, there was, he says, trying to just disguise the story, there was the neighbour of somebody that has got early stages of Parkinson's, sadly, and so knows that there's a finite period of time to be, not just physically, but insurance-wise, to be able to go on holiday. They've already said it'll get to a stage and suddenly it's like $4,000 for insurance or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
So they are plugging in loads. And so it goes to show that's how important it is. Let's get out there and experience those different things right now.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you don't do it. And I'm starting to learn, and I wish I'd sort of thought of this before, is that I've done multiple years of all-inclusive resort. I don't need to go anywhere. It's massive. It's got everything. We eat, we drink, whatever we want. There's entertainment, there's pools, there's beaches, and it's wonderful. But I'm suddenly going, I could have been here.
That's right. So that's where the planning, that's where that's where I try and do. One of my questions when I ask is actually, what was your best holiday that you've had? And obviously, hopefully, recreate that or recreate something. But what do you remember about your best holiday? And that then starts a conversation.
Yep.
And I'm starting to take notes and go, okay, right, well, that's what you're looking for. And that's where the emotion starts, because they go, oh, yeah, I can, oh, my goodness, yeah, we did this and we did that. And you can see the emotion build.
Yep.
And that's what I really enjoy is starting that process of, so, okay, so what do you want from the holiday? Where do we go? Not literally, but where do we go and how do we fit in the best things? Absolutely. As I've said before on many of these, it's possible to just go online, book a holiday and off you go. But I did it. I did a trip to Marrakesh where I went to a resort, something like you.
Yeah.
And there was a tower in the resort. And in the resort, there was a sort of a greenish area, which looked quite nice. You went up the tower, nowhere outside the resort was green. And you thought, well, this isn't Marrakesh. This is an image of what you want me to have of Marrakesh.
Yeah.
So, that, and you see this light bulb. Oh my goodness me! There's so much out there. Literally, what you said. There's so much out there to go and see that you didn't necessarily think of when you first started.
No.
So that's the processes.
And the problem with an all-inclusive resort that we can't. Now, don't get me wrong. We'll probably alternate or something because there's something good about them as well. But is that you're almost there going, well, A, I don't need to go off anywhere, but B, I don't want to, because as soon as I go out there, my included food and drink isn't included. Now, I know that that's kind of a narrow-minded way to think about it, but it's a very easy trap to fall into.
Yeah.
And I think it's my wife's been nagging me for a little while, especially with our young teenage daughter, is that we need to start going to experience more. And that is coming into the equation. So if we have sort of like nicely segued into the first part, is that the emotions of booking that holiday.
Yeah.
First things first is I'm going to throw an absolute compliment at you. And this is why I love what you do and your organization do, is I won't always know what it is I want to do. You just said some of those questions. Now, all of them spark to me is not definitive answers is what you're looking for, but you're trying to understand where our mind's at, where our emotions are at already. What's going to trigger my emotions? And that helps you form the options that start being pieced together and put in front of us.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's great. Exactly like you said, the all-inclusive. I was reading this morning about, slightly off script here, but this morning about a cruise around Croatia. A small cruise, there's only 18 cabins on the ship, and it's like, oh my word, what a fantastic trip to go on. And they only give you breakfast and lunch. And the idea is you'll be in a port in the evenings, so you go and eat local. You go and find a local restaurant and you go and eat local. You're putting money back into the local economy and you're experiencing the local.
So that cruise will be there for the evening?
It'll be parked there for the evening. They'll leave late at night.
I like. When we did it, the only cruise I've been on was that we were leaving port at like 6, rings a bell, something like that. And so we were getting out for lunch.
Yeah.
And I certainly remember we went to 2 Spanish ports and we went looking for tapas restaurants. Yeah. They weren't open to the evening.
Yeah, that's right. They shut for siesta.
Yeah. And we were like going, oh, let's get back on the boat and have lunch then.
Yeah.
And it was just really, really hard, so that sounds amazing.
Yeah. So there you go. It's another thing that it's sort of thing to experience. And so we then go on to, we've got the holiday sort of booked, and we've got that. And then it's the anticipation, isn't it, of actually going somewhere. Yeah. The best thing, and why I've gone to this is the story of a family who'd never cruised before. They had 2 young boys and they booked a cruise that sailed from Southampton. And they said, when we drove into Southampton port, and the boys saw this huge cruise ship.
Wow, yes.
And literally, you got the cases out of the car, you got on board.
They disappeared.
And you were on holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're on holiday. And the boys were like, oh my goodness. And when they got to one of the places in Spain, the family went off round like you've done, like see the locals, and the boys were going, can we go back on board ship, please? Because the ship was so good. So it's just it's all the stuff, and it's the memories the boys were building of being on board the ship and having a fantastic time. So yes, it's a really interesting thing. And again, queuing at an airport, funnily enough, can even be quite fun. If we like queuing, don't we, the English? But it's
true, yeah.
But you're on holiday, aren't you? A lot of people say I don't like airports, which is fair enough. But actually, it's the holiday started, and that's when the sort of anticipation starts.
I think you make it part of it, don't you?
Yeah.
And I know, again, off topic a little bit, is that we used to do a lot of drive down to the south of France,
Right,
and
yeah.
we'd make 2 overnight stops on the way down. And again, this is something when you're great at being able to piece those things, because we sometimes did the sites where the frame tent was already pre-erected, a little B&B in a lovely little village, or a chateau, these different experiences we had. And my mum created this thing that it was like a material job round the back of the front seats. So facing towards us in the back was then these numbered pockets.
Oh my
right?
Right.
And they created wrapped up little gifts in each one. And if we'd been good for a period of time, I don't know whether they predetermined that or what, they'd go, "You've been incredibly good. You can now take the gift out of number 7 or whatever it is."
And how did that make you feel?
Well, the fact that I'm still regaling that story tells you all.
Yeah,
and it was and they would know what it was, because there would be times that it might be sweets, it might be a little toy, it might be something to read, all these different things that just made sitting in a car fun. I mean, well done, Mum and Dad, for doing that. So, whilst some might have gone, what? You can make these things as much fun as you want. And I still have that, Mum and Dad used to make it that the plane spotting was quite an exciting thing. We might go to the airport like a couple of days before and just see the planes going in and out and go, "I can't wait to be on it." So that was part of it. So I agree, the emotions of the build up to the holiday. Nowadays, it includes me staying near the airport or something the night before.
Right, yes, absolutely.
And make that fun.
So you're chilled, you're ready to go. But it's all but your daughter now will think, "Oh, that's all part of the holiday."
Absolutely.
We're staying in a hotel,
We try to make it where you can actually see the runway, even just a little bit. Because that night time, when the airport's lit up, the planes are going in and out. And I've got photos still, that's some of my favourite photos of when my daughter was a toddler, and she's on her knees on the bed, peeking through the curtains, watching the planes and just even the well-lit airport.
Have to confess, haven't been asked for that one. Runway view. But I often get a sea view.
Only for the night before, not for the whole holiday. I mean, just literally the night before.
No, that's funny.
Gatwick, I think there's more than one that facilitate that. And, it's just something that is like, of course I wouldn't enjoy it all the time, but holiday's supposed to be that something different.
No, that's brilliant.
And still talking on the booking side of things and the emotions, what I loved understanding a bit more is that we were having a discussion that there are a breed of people that love the planning.
Yes.
And we thought we were of that, but what we found is that we were going around in circles and it was becoming a pain in the neck. There was bits that we would miss because we wouldn't know where to look. And I found that even if you were piecing these pieces together, it was the then investigating what each of those mean, looking at photos, looking at YouTube videos and going, okay, so Doug's put this. Oh my gosh, look at that. So you're still kind of planning for the doing rather than planning for the booking.
Yes. Oh yeah. No,
I like that.
That's right. No, it's yes, part of it is forming that a thing. And I give you enough information. I have a system where we can give out a quote with lots of links and information, that sort of stuff, so you can then go off and further investigate what you need to do or what you want to do. So it's a great tool, and it's very visual, and obviously gives all the timings and everything else on, but it's fantastic so that it can generate that, what about doing this or what about doing that?
Exactly.
And we can build it on it from there. But no, it's
and I love what you're saying there. Like the plan of everything is that my wife and my friends and other members of family call me Captain Mannering, because everything's got to be. I got to know what's happening. You know, there's got to be a plan. And that's it gives me that. It's all there. And we've taken up the examples. I just even said France is to kind of go, oh, actually, I don't have to keep going, right, how far down am I going to get? What do I need to book? Let's have a look for something. Where do I go looking for a B&B in this French village or whatever? Again, just for instance, is that you're able to take care of those little bits and pieces and go and find them for us and piece them together.
No, it's great. No, I do enjoy it. That's part of the job that I actually really enjoy. So, put it all together.
So we've got the emotions of the booking, the anticipation of that holiday, the countdown, everything
absolutely,
like that.
absolutely, a countdown,
I do. Out of interest then, so we've got everything, we think we've got everything booked with you, that we've got all these different things, whether it's the transport, whether it's the different locations, it's this, that and the other. And suddenly we find, oh, someone's told us about this location that we can go and visit. Can I then turn to you and go, Doug, that holiday we've booked with you, can you have a look at adding this on?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Really?
There'll obviously be perhaps a course, because you'll be cancelling one part of it to do something else.
Well, just
but
adding it.
Adding it in. Yeah, no, that's right. No, absolutely.
So we've still got that flexibility, even
totally.
in all of that build-up and everything. That's pretty
If you've got
cool.
an itinerary, we can absolutely add stuff into it and things
As
like
long
that.
as there's a gap.
Yeah, there's there's a holiday happening actually around now where a couple of something like got 8 locations in Italy.
Wow.
And we pulled that all together with all the tools that we needed to do. But again, it was that fulfilling their dream of where they wanted to go. And they have got a list brilliantly organised, it's all planned, of what they're going to do each day in each city. So they're going to, Rome, Milan and Venice and all sorts, all around. And we even got them, a gondola ride in Venice sort of thing, got all that booked for them. But yes, absolutely. We can put as many elements into it as the sort of things that fires you up to build that sort of anticipation of what.
Well, because I find that you start looking into it more and more. You go, I now know where I'm going. We've got it all booked. Right, let's start looking. And of course, YouTube these days is that you suddenly find out and you go, oh my God, that sounds cool, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Have we got the ability to do that? And sure, we could go and book it ourselves, but it's like, there might be other bits and pieces. That was just an aside. I put you under the bus then because you might not have known. Then, of course, we get there, and I think that there's several emotions, is that we get to relax and enjoy it because everything's taken care of. Yeah,
absolutely. One of the things I try and do on almost every booking is do private transfers. Get to an airport. You've got a guy with your name. You're not searching for the coach. You're not wandering around the airport, go, where do I go? You've got a guy with a driver, with your name on the board. You follow him to the car, load up, and you're driven to your hotel. It can quite often be half the time it would take you to be on the coach. You're not seeing everybody else got dropped off. You're just there. And that just builds the fun a bit as well. So it creates that, we have our own taxi, And
I was about to say, yes, you do go with that, because I did it with you for the first time last year over in Turkey.
Yeah.
Never done it before. I always thought that was just the rich and famous that got to do that. And it depends how far away you are, whether it's a viable option, of course. But if you can do it, and this one really didn't cost us very much at all, and everyone else is going off into the buses, then you sit there waiting because there's people from another plane, there's people still in the airport.
Getting the bags, they haven't arrived.
We were like, boom, straight in, let me take those cases for you, into the car, get on in, air-conditioned car, they had a little fridge with some drinks in there as well, and then off we go to our resort.
And again, it's that emotion. It's that emotion of going, oh yeah, actually we're sorted. We're still on holiday.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's that. It just builds. You can build and just have it so that you don't think, oh, this is rubbish. So it's it's good.
And that nothing's I was going to say nothing's going to go wrong, or there's no vulnerability. I think that's probably the key one. I.e., if something was going to go wonky, then there's someone else that can help with that. But equally, it's normally the unknown that can make things go wonky.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like going, no, everything's
sorted.
okay.
Yeah, everything's sorted.
Because you get it as a holiday maker yourself as well.
Yeah.
So you understand that.
Yeah.
And then we're there, we're getting to experience everything. We're truly switching off in whatever our holiday of choice was.
Yes.
Is it do little? Is it do lots?
Yes.
Is it multiple locations? Is it one location with other things that we can do?
Yeah.
It's all taken care of.
Again, one of the nice stories I had was a couple who, again, were, I suppose you say in the later years, but they wanted to go and see Ephesus in Turkey. And they asked me, how do I get there? I tell you what, I'll put you up in Kusadasi. Oh, I've never been there. So we put them up in a hotel in Kusadasi. They went to see Ephesus, and the whole thing was, oh my goodness, I'd never been to Kusadasi. What a great place, and they never even thought of it. And it's that
exactly.
They came back, and that was part of it. When they got there, the hotel was great, the staff were great, and again, it just all goes to build that fantastic time that you're going to have. And it's the whole thing, isn't it? You go on holiday to not only recharge, but actually review, what you want to do, and also enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Apparently, you're supposed to enjoy holidays.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And that, what does enjoy? I love. There's been times when I've kind of gone, but I've had a lovely feeling as I've gone, tick. I've now seen it. I've done it. I've experienced it.
Yeah.
And although I might have at the time gone, wasn't the most exciting thing to do, which occasionally happens. I still now look back at it and go, I'm so glad that I've done that. Yeah, I've been and seen that, and it comes up in conversation. I've been there.
Yes.
I've done it. I've seen it. It was really good. You've got to go and do it.
Yes.
But you wouldn't necessarily need to go back again. Actually, a lot of these experiences are one and done, aren't they?
Yes.
Because you've got to go and experience it. I've got loads that I still want to go and see.
Yes.
Without question. Some of the stories I hear from my parents now are making me even more hungry for it.
Yeah.
So, I think that you need to go and satisfy. TV, we're devouring the ability to go and talking about these different things around the world.
Yeah.
And you kind of go, well, I need to go and see that and experience it and feel it.
Yes.
Because you don't get the true emotion just from watching on a TV.
No, that's right. And there's a couple of presenters that are really good where they go off piste.
Yes.
And they really sort of go, oh, didn't realise that was here, and oh my goodness, look at that. And that's what the building of the memories is all about. Yeah. And it's the memories for all of us. But I mean, as you've alluded to, is if you can get your children or your childhood memories to revive, or actually get them fired up like you're fired up, then you've built a bank of happy memories that you can refer back to in sort of when you're feeling a bit, rubbish at home or whatever, or it's a deep, dark winter.
Correct.
And you go, oh, remember when we were so-and-so,
Well, my daughter now, she's 13, and she is, so she's at secondary school learning things. And so she's now at that age where doesn't just want to do kids clubs or messing about in the pool. That sure, she would like to do plenty of that, but she's got a thirst for knowledge.
Right. Yeah.
And so to be able to go, now that doesn't mean that we go, okay, we're doing 10 days solid of traipsing around all these museums and monuments and everything else, but to be able to throw in. And, I use one example for me is, take Pompeii as an obvious one.
Oh, yeah.
But what I now know from seeing bits and pieces is there's some might say even better places to go around that.
Yes.
There's another, I think it's an X-town, is probably the right way to say it, a little bit further down. I've forgotten the name of it.
Herculaneum.
I think you're right. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I've been told that's even better to go and see.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for the TV or people like yourself going, well, yeah, absolutely, we can sort out getting you into Pompeii. But what you should also do is go and see Herculaneum. And actually, do you want to go further up and see some of the, whatever element there? And that's the beauty of being able to see more. We don't know what we don't know.
We don't know what you don't know. And one of the things I learned, and we did the Pompeii and we did the visit Mount Vesuvius, and we went by we did a coach tour. We thought, let's do this. So we booked it with a coach tour and a lunch. So we had a lunch halfway up on the trip to Vesuvius. And then what we realised was if we'd hired a car, the car park is at the bottom of Vesuvius. Right. The coach park is halfway up.
Wow.
Winner. So we had not only had lunch, part of the deal, but we got to be halfway up Vesuvius before we had to start walking up it. So and the coach just arrived at the start point. We got out, he went and parked, we did the walk back down again and back down. It's the little things that you think, right, okay, so the coach is better than, in that case, than having a hire car, because you can and they picked us up from the hotel, which was, again, and that it brings back these memories, you just think, oh my goodness, that was a great trip, because, Pompeii's amazing, and so is Vesuvius and that sort of stuff. So,
Absolutely.
it's a great resource, isn't it, of being on holiday? A resource to recall when...
And I think proactively open your mind.
Yeah.
I've got memories of when I was a kid and we went to France to some of the World War II sites.
Yeah.
So the most obvious ones being, say, some of the different coloured gravestones.
Yeah.
But equally, we went to some of the beach landing bits, and you've got some of the bunkers and what have you still there. But the biggest one for me was that we went to some trenches that are still... less trenchy now because it's sort of almost catching up with the rest of the surface, but it's still there, and you can go in them and you realise just how close both lines were, which was, and I remember as I must have been teen, but it would have been low teens, I'd imagine, maybe mid-teens. and being there and thinking, I cannot believe that they were this close, and apparently they could even hear each other. So they had to be mindful of that. And then suddenly this realization that there was not a single bird over this whole area.
Wow.
And that stuck with me and gave me a deeper thirst for knowledge, because I went, do you know, I'd never appreciated that life wasn't the bubble I'm living in at all. There's a lot more to it. That doesn't mean everything had to be macabre or anything like that.
No.
It was just like, I want to learn more.
But that's what these holidays will build in emotions. It'll build a trigger.
Yes.
It'll build a memory that's a momentary memory, but actually that will then lead on to further emotions, thoughts, and everything to do with being away. And I was just going to come back to it. I'm going to say it again. It's not something you get at work.
No,
no. And we work. Obviously, we need to work. We need to live and all the rest of it. But let's make the holidays as good as we can while we can, just so we can get the best. Value is the wrong word. Value isn't the word. The best memories, the best everything out of it. Because I say that they're just such an opportunity to have an amazing time, and. Yeah, let's really go for it.
And I do agree. I think last year we did 10 nights, 12 nights, I can't remember what it was now, in an all-inclusive, and it was an amazing place, really looked after. But we came back not fully fulfilled.
Yeah.
Because we kind of went, that was nice, and I needed to relax and recharge, but there was something missing. And it's like, we need to force ourselves to go and it's all too easy to just collapse. And I think my parents used to occasionally do it as this great mix where it'd be do something one day, relax the next, do something, relax, do something, relax.
Okay.
Even when we went to, say, the Florida parks and stuff like that, it would be relax, do something, relax, do something. And that worked for us. So, and again, that's where this itinerary comes in.
Well, it's even more simple than that. We went to Menorca, took our boys to Menorca in October half term, a couple of years in a row. And we always hired a car. I thought, I'm not going to get in a coach. So I hired a car, and we found this beach on the north side of the island, very quiet. There's a little shack selling ice creams. And just about 10 metres out, there was a rock shelf about 2 foot below the water level. So, of course, I could get my boys out to there, and with the snorkel on, as you swam away off this rock shelf, the sea just disappeared beneath you, and we could see all the fish and all the activity and everything. And that came up, but I say it, that came up last week, speaking to my son. They were talking about holiday. Yeah, do you remember that, Dad, when we went to Menorca? We went to this beach, and there we go. It's just that trigger point, isn't it?
And I think to sort of almost get towards the wrap-up stage, or coming towards the sample package that we do every episode, is that I historically have had horrible emotions after a holiday where I feel absolutely distraught that the whole thing's over.
Yeah.
Which is great. It means you've had a good holiday, but that would say there, whereas the more we did in it, the more that I was able to remove that away by remembering and talking about and going through this. And of course, nowadays it's, we'll always have the photos and the videos, even more so than when I was young.
Yeah.
And so the more that you're able to cram into it,
yes,
the more that you're able to get yourself out of that funk, as I call it, and actually kind of go, no, that was amazing. Wow, that was amazing. And it might promote more reading or watching of certain things, even if it's still on YouTube, because you're going to go, do you remember this? We saw that. What was that all about?
Yes.
Let's go and find out more.
Yeah. So absolutely. Really, we do a follow-up call when people come home. How was it? What was it? What was it about your holiday? And, we are getting great responses coming back. It was fabulous. We did this, we did that. And that's what we want. We want to, build in experiences.
Yeah.
Experiences, again, is a funny word, but it's just the holiday. The whole holiday thing wants to be memorable,
yes,
and therefore create, the right emotions.
It is. I mean, I've just been watching a good friend of mine, or good friends, because him and his other half, fiance, and they've gone over to Morocco, over to Marrakesh and everything. And the photos of them, they sort of said, right, 4:30 alarm call this morning, but well worth it as they're up in a hot air balloon
Amazing.
over the whole area. They've gone, not quad biking, it's basically, I guess they're beach buggies. And even just some of the places where they're sat eating food or the whatever you call them, the shisha pipes or whatever else and they're doing. And you just, all this stuff that you've watched through and gone, wow, that's a fulfilling holiday, that one. Yeah. And like I say, is there anything I haven't said before we go to the package? Because I was about to get to a sort of pre-conclusion on this.
Yeah, no, I think so. No, it's just basically just when you book a holiday, if you want to think about what do you want from the holiday? That's the one question I want. What was your best holiday and what do you want from your holiday? And hopefully I can make it happen and recreate it even better.
And I think there's an important distinction there, isn't it? Is that they could come to you and go, Doug, this is everything that we want.
Yeah.
And you can go and piece that together. Maybe throw some extra bits in or alternatives or whatever else. But equally, you can turn around and go, I don't know, Doug. I want to learn. I want to see some of these things. I'm kind of leaning towards this country or this continent or something like that. Yeah. And again, you can piece it. So it's like little or nothing, but you're right. The important thing is, right, do you want, whitewater rafting and adrenaline stuff? Do you want culture? Do you want relaxation? Do you want a mixture of this and this? Yeah. And that's where we then get to piece it together.
No problem. Yeah.
Speak to this man. That's the key thing. On that front, the usual feature that we have is always a sample package. And it's important we say that, isn't it? Because it's one that is just happens to be out with Not Just Travel at the moment.
Yeah. It's a bit left field.
It is.
It's a bit left field, but it's the sort of thing that. So this is a 12-night cruise, basically. It's with a company called Oceania, and people go, "Oh my goodness, they're expensive." But what I'd like to ask you is, when you come back from holiday, how much have you spent? Because what you do on this trip is you spend it to book it, and once you've spent it, there's no more to add. So, you've got the 12 nights.
That's historically what's been missing from cruises, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we say all-inclusive resorts, it's all paid for and done. Yeah. Cruises, typically, you end up spending a fortune.
Well, quite a lot. Most cruises now do full board, and you opt to have a drinks package.
But even excursions.
Excursions are extra,
lot as well,
and gratuities and Wi-Fi. Here we are. We've got all this. We've got full board with including unlimited wine and beer with lunch and dinner. So you've got some shipboard credit. So that means you can pay for whatever you want on board. You can pay for extras and things like that. Free gratuities, free Wi-Fi, which is the Starlink, amazing. Free laundrette, free evening theatre shows. You've got a pool and jacuzzi, and you've got a spa. But what it does, it's the route it takes. It's quite interesting. It goes sort of Antwerp. There we go. Antwerp, Bruges, Cork and Dublin. You wouldn't necessarily have thought Cork is lovely. If you
they
know
are, because of course one of them is, I would imagine you get to go and see the Titanic Museum.
And
then get back on a ship. That would be
on a ship. That'd be good. Yeah,
wouldn't it?
Cork and Dublin, and then you go down some towns I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce in France. But the point about these is they're not cruise ship ports. Hard for me to say. Yeah. They're not big ship ports. They're the small ports that these people go into, these cruise lines go into, and they can get you in there, get into the local culture and make memories, and do that. And you go down to San Sebastian, again, another place in Spain, and then to Lisbon and come disembark.
Yeah, and I mean, because you've got Pouillac, Bordeaux.
Yeah.
We all know that's good for its wine. At the end of the day, San Sebastian, Gijon, and then finishing in Lisbon in Portugal as well. And so, I mean, you're taking Belgium, Ireland, France, Spain, Portugal.
Yeah.
And one of the key things that I noticed about this one, maximum 800 passengers.
Yeah, it's not a big
that's
ship.
the reason why they can go into some of these other places. We do have an interesting one that we were chuckling at. I think it's Le Havre, isn't it? That's it's Paris, brackets Le Havre.
Yeah.
It's actually that you dock at Le Havre. Do you know what? We went to Le Havre as a stop for our cruise, and Le Havre had just won promotion back to the top league. and they were doing the open top bus thing, and it was incredible that we're there, and suddenly you got these lined streets and the blue flares and everything.
Wow.
And again, it's these experiences that you had that I would never have been part of that. And we just went, let's follow this, and we went with it up to the Principality or whatever, and they doing the speeches, which of course we understood nothing of, but it was amazing. But there is a coach trip from Le Havre down to Paris, so you get to take that in as well.
Yeah.
We haven't quite worked out where this bridge is, but you reckon it might be. You did say where you think it was, but I've forgotten where it was now.
Yeah,
but
answers on a postcard.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you think that is?
Where do you think that is?
And then, of course, this is just an example of the ship itself.
Sure. Yeah. So it's sitting having breakfast out on the deck, open air.
I loved the breakfast out on deck actually when we did the cruise. That was special. That you know you were either at sea or you just arrived at a port, and so you were static, but you weren't ready to go and walk in. So you're having breakfast in the sunshine, overlooking a new place. I did love that.
Yeah.
But I mean that's a 12-night cruise, I think, isn't it?
Yes, it's a 12-night cruise. Yes. And
that's just an example of something.
Absolutely,
isn't it?
But
it is available now to book.
Yeah, it's available now to book. It's actually this one is actually listed for September 25, and you know it's there. It does have a value on it, which is, you know, reasonable, but it's just that you get so much, you know, and whereas you might book a less expensive cruise, but you're having to pay more. So literally by the time you've arrived home, you've probably paid the same amount. So, you know, it's that balance of having luxury cruises. And again, if you're going to go on holiday for 1 or 2 weeks a year, what's the harm in having a bit of luxury?
Agreed.
You know, it's tempered with it's still got to be affordable. So you know, and again, it's.
And I think that, you know, that's a key thing. And by the way, you'll notice that no figure was mentioned there because we've learnt that it's safer not to, because that can change.
Yeah.
And we're putting a video out that you could be watching in 3 months' time. So the best thing to do is get in touch. But whether it's that particular one that is of interest, or whether you just want to see some of these different things, if there's places that you want to, obviously you can't piece together a boat. You don't have control of where a boat goes.
No.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, no.
One day.
No.
But you have access to all these various different ones. I mean, even like, they do some short cruises as well, if that was your...
Yeah, you can do 3 to 5 day cruises.
Yeah.
And again, you could swap cruise. So if you're out in the Med, you could actually do one and then swap onto another one.
Yes.
You know, or the other one, you know, the one I really, the 5-masted schooner, you know, where you've got like 30 people on board to sail around the Adriatic. You know, wow. You know, what memories is that going to involve? There's so much out there, and it's just a case of not necessarily seeing the first thing you see on TV or something like that, but what more can you have from a holiday to build the memories and you know, just get really excited about things. So,
without getting lost in the internet of all the possibilities.
Absolutely.
And guided.
Yeah.
You know, there's some of it where they start guiding you and you don't know everything that's available.
And that's the other thing is there is so much out there on the internet, you can easily get swamped with the choices.
Yeah. So
it's quite nice to sit down and think through what you want. And get something that really suits what you want, and you're going to
take the stress out of it for us.
Yeah. Happy to do that.
Love it. I do love it. Well, we know I'm an absolute advocate of the work you do. The possibilities are endless. The effort is reduced dramatically. And that can be that we could be booking, which we intend to do, is booking like next year's holiday now and paying for it over a period of time.
We've even got 2027 on holiday.
So what are we now? 25.
So on booking, available to book.
Wow.
In many cases.
It's great. Plan ahead.
So plan ahead.
Pay ahead.
Pay ahead, just pay it monthly, spread the cost, and you can actually get your anticipation going.
Well, there you go. DougTanner.notjusttravel.com for the website, and that's got all the contact details out there.
Yeah.
The contact details should be underneath this in the details, but the email address is
Doug.Tanner@notjusttravel, lots of T's, .com.
Brilliant. I mean, nothing to lose in terms of reaching out and just checking out the possibilities.
And look forward to hearing, you know, what you want to go, where you want to go, and what we can do for you.
Fabulous. Well, we'll see you next time for episode 5. We haven't decided what the topic's going to be yet. We'll work that out in due course. But I hope that you've enjoyed this episode and it's really inspired you, the possibilities. You can tell that I'm an absolute convert on this one. It just is amazing. But for now, get in touch with Doug and we'll see you for the next episode. Cheers.
Bye.